Few things capture the imagination like megaliths. The word simply means big stone, but in archaeology it stands for something far more mysterious: monuments, doorways, and temples carved and assembled from stones so massive they challenge everything we think we know about ancient engineering. Some seem older than the cultures credited with building them. Others display levels of precision that seem far beyond the tools supposedly available at the time. Many have lost their original purpose entirely, leaving us to wonder why people went to such extraordinary lengths to carve mountains, move 100-ton blocks, and align their creations with the stars. Among these enigmas is a site hidden in the highlands of southern Peru. It doesn't rise like a pyramid or stretch like a fortress wall. Instead, it is carved directly into the reddish rock of the Marca Mountains near Lake Titicaca. About 7 meters high and wide, it resembles a doorway, a large rectangular recess with a smaller niche at its center shaped almost like a keyhole. Behind it, however, is nothing but solid stone. This is Aramu Muru, sometimes called the Gate of the Gods, one of South America's most intriguing rock monuments. Local Aymara traditions long described it as a portal between worlds. In their belief, natural features such as caves, springs, and carved stones could serve as gateways to the realm of spirits. According to legend, shamans once performed ceremonies here, pressing their foreheads to the central niche to enter trances that allowed them to cross into another plane of existence. One enduring tale speaks of an Inca priest fleeing the Spanish with a golden disc, who placed it into the niche, causing the stone to open. He stepped through and vanished forever. From an archaeological standpoint, Aramu Muru is a puzzle. There are no nearby ruins, stairways, or structures, just a carefully carved rock face in an isolated landscape. Some scholars think it was an unfinished project, perhaps the first stage of quarrying stone or constructing a temple that was abandoned. Others believe it was symbolic rather than practical, a ceremonial doorway representing the passage to the afterlife or the world of the gods. Its symmetry and smooth finish, however, suggest that it was deliberately completed rather than abandoned midway. Because it offers no datable material or artifacts, its origin remains uncertain. Some speculate that it was connected to Lake Titicaca's long-standing mythology, the sacred lake from which the Inca believed their civilization emerged. Others link it to astronomical or ritual traditions that spanned the Andes. To this day, visitors report strange sensations or vivid dreams after visiting, though whether these are psychological or something else remains unknown. What is clear is that Aramu Muru embodies the Andean fascination with stone as a living medium, a bridge between worlds. It stands as a solitary threshold, massive yet silent, a doorway carved with intention but never opened. Traveling east across the Andes into Bolivia, another monument rises from solid rock on a far grander scale. Near the town of Samaipata lies a sandstone hill over 200 meters long, its entire summit carved by human hands. Known as El Fuerte de Samaipata, though the name fortress is misleading, it is a single sculpted mass of terraces, channels, niches, and geometric shapes that turn the mountain itself into a ceremonial platform. The carvings span cultures and centuries. Pre-Inca peoples first shaped the rock. Later, the Inca incorporated it into their empire's network of sacred sites. And finally, the Spanish built a small settlement nearby, giving it the name El Fuerte. Deep channels run across the surface like veins, connecting pools, stairways, and platforms. Some areas appear designed for observing celestial events. Others may have directed water flow in symbolic or ritual patterns. Why carve an entire hill instead of building on it? The scale suggests it served a purpose beyond ordinary religion or politics. Some researchers believe Samaipata was a vast ceremonial center or astronomical observatory, where rituals aligned with the stars and the movement of water mirrored the cycles of the heavens. The Inca likely adopted the site as part of their state religion, recognizing its spiritual power. Standing atop Samaipata today, you feel the immensity of its design, the smooth terraces, the carved thrones, the lines stretching toward the horizon. From this height, the Andes fade into the east and the Amazon basin into the west. It feels less like architecture and more like a dialogue between earth and sky. Excavations around the hill have revealed remnants of houses and shrines, showing that the carved rock was once the heart of a thriving ceremonial complex. Its purpose remains elusive, but its ambition is unmistakable. To carve a mountain into a sacred sculpture required generations of labor and vision. Perhaps it was meant to be a model of the cosmos, a place where water, sun, and stone converged in ritual harmony. Or perhaps it was a platform for ceremonies lost to time. Whatever its original meaning, Samaipata endures as one of the most striking examples of human ingenuity, written directly into the living rock, a monument that, like Aramumuru, speaks to an ancient dialogue between earth, sky, and spirit that we are only beginning to understand. The Rock of Samaipata stands as a rare expression of megalithic ambition on a continental scale, uniting diverse groups under shared traditions. It is not merely a monument built with stone. It is stone itself, shaped into human design, yet inseparable from the mountain. Like so many of the world's great megaliths, it leaves us facing questions that archaeology has yet to solve. Why carve an entire mountain when smaller temples would suffice? What meanings were once held in those channels and terraces, now worn smooth by centuries of rain and wind? What vision drove ancient builders to transform an entire hill into a platform that still defies clear explanation? If Samaipata leaves us pondering the imagination that shaped a mountain, our next mystery leads us deep into the lush highlands of West Java, Indonesia. Rising from a forested ridge is Gunung Padang, a site long known to local communities but only recently recognized as one of the most enigmatic megalithic monuments in the world. To the eye, it appears as a stepped hill crowned with terraces built from neatly arranged volcanic stone columns, creating the impression of a staircase of rock ascending toward the sky. Dutch colonial surveyors first documented the site in the early 20th century, noting its unusual geometry. Excavations later confirmed that the stones were not random formations, but deliberately placed structures, terraces, walls, and platforms formed from hexagonal basalt columns. Local legends had long described the hill as sacred, a place of ritual offerings and ancestral power. Conventional archaeology dates the visible structures to around 500 BCE, placing them within Indonesia's late prehistoric era, when megalithic traditions flourished across the archipelago. Dolmens, menhirs, and stone alignments from this period reflect a widespread culture of ancestor worship and communal ritual. Yet Gunung Padang stands apart in both size and design. Covering roughly 3 hectares with 5 ascending terraces, it is one of the largest megalithic sites in Southeast Asia. What propels Gunung Padang into controversy is not just its grandeur, but the debate over its true age. In the 2010s, a team led by geologist Danny Hillman Natawijaja conducted ground-penetrating radar surveys and core drilling that suggested multiple buried layers beneath the visible terraces. These deeper structures appeared to extend far into the hill itself, perhaps as much as 20,000 years old. If confirmed, that would make Gunung Padang the oldest known megalithic monument on Earth, predating agriculture, writing, and the rise of cities by many millennia. The claim sparked international debate. A structure from 20,000 years ago would mean humans in Southeast Asia possessed engineering abilities thought impossible for Ice Age societies. It would suggest a lost civilization capable of organized construction at a time when most humans were still nomadic. Critics countered that the deeper layers are simply natural basalt formations, their geometric shapes produced by volcanic processes rather than human hands. They argue that the dating of organic material in the soil cannot prove when the stones were placed, only when sediments last shifted. The Indonesian government briefly paused excavation amid the controversy, while many foreign archaeologists urged restraint until the data could be verified. Still, the questions refused to fade. Supporters of the deep antiquity hypothesis point to radar images showing symmetrical patterns beneath the surface, arguing they are too regular to be natural. If true, Gunung Padang could represent a forgotten chapter of human history, evidence of a culture erased by the cataclysms that ended the last ice age. Whether man-made or geological, the site remains visually stunning. The terraces, lined with upright and horizontal basalt columns, form narrow stairways that rise toward a summit shrouded in mist. From above, the view stretches across green valleys, giving the sense of a sacred stairway between earth and sky. If the deeper layers do prove artificial, the implications would be enormous. A 20,000-year-old pyramid would force historians to rethink the timeline of civilization itself, suggesting that complex societies emerged far earlier than we believed. If the mainstream dating is correct, Gunung Padang is still a remarkable expression of Indonesia's megalithic heritage, showing how distant cultures found their own paths to monumental architecture. For scientists, it is a proving ground for new technologies of subsurface exploration. For local people, it remains a living shrine, where ceremonies and offerings continue much as they have for centuries. Whether ancient beyond measure or simply ancient enough, it stands as a place where myth and archaeology meet, challenging our understanding of what humanity once achieved. From the misty hills of Java, the trail of megaliths leads us back to the Andes, to the windswept high plains of Bolivia, where another colossal monument dominates the landscape. At nearly 4,000 meters above sea level lies Tiwanaku, an ancient city that flourished long before the rise of the Inca. At its heart stands the Akapana Pyramid, a massive stepped platform around 200 meters across and 17 meters high, one of the largest ritual monuments in the Americas. Unlike the solitary carvings of Aramumuru or the sculpted hill of Samaipata, Akapana forms part of an entire ceremonial complex, a city built of precision-cut stone and cosmic intent. Akapana's design resembles a giant cross when viewed from above. Its 7 terraces faced with immense blocks of sandstone and andesite, some weighing many tons. At its summit lies a sunken court, surrounded by fine masonry walls, as if the pyramid's peak had been hollowed into an open-air sanctuary. Channels cut through the structure form a sophisticated drainage system, guiding rainwater from the summit down through the terraces. This was not just practical engineering, it was symbolic. In Andean cosmology, mountains were sacred, the sources of rivers and life itself. By building an artificial mountain that controlled the flow of water, the Tiwanaku people may have recreated their universe in stone, sky above, water within, and the underworld below. Most archaeologists agree that Akapana served as a ritual and astronomical center, aligned with solstices and cardinal directions. Its size and symmetry would have embodied Tiwanaku's political and spiritual authority. Yet mysteries persist. Some of its andesite blocks were quarried more than 40 kilometers away, across Lake Titicaca, and moved without the wheel or draft animals. How they were transported remains unknown. Others question whether the pyramid was ever completed. Certain areas show signs of abandonment or damage long before Spanish chroniclers described the site in ruins. Was construction halted by political collapse, drought, or some larger upheaval? The decline of Tiwanaku remains as enigmatic as its rise. Between 500 and 1000 CE, it was the heart of a culture that spread across the Andes, yet it left no written language. Climate shifts and drought may have undermined the agricultural base that sustained its monumental projects. Without texts, the meanings of Akapana must be inferred from stone alone. Some interpret it as a sacred mountain, others as a vast water temple, a union of engineering and cosmology. Whatever its original function, it stands as proof of a people who saw no boundary between the physical and the divine. Today, much of Akapana appears as a weathered mound, its grandeur eroded by centuries of wind and neglect. But reconstructions show how it once gleamed with polished stone terraces and flowing water, a living monument to human and cosmic order. Standing atop its summit, gazing over the Altiplano toward Lake Titicaca, one can still sense the ambition that shaped it, a vision of harmony between earth and sky, mountain and man. Was Akapana a masterpiece left unfinished, or a design whose full meaning we've forgotten? Perhaps both. What remains is a monument that transforms the landscape into a reflection of belief, an enduring reminder that ancient builders sought not only to master nature, but to mirror the cosmos itself. High in the Andes, not far from Lima, another mystery awaits. The Marcahuasi Plateau, perched over 4,000 meters above sea level, is scattered with enormous stone formations that seem to take on human and animal shapes. Faces, profiles and figures carved, it seems, by unseen hands. Spread across several square kilometers, these forms appear so deliberate that early explorers could scarcely believe they were natural. Local people had long regarded Marcahuasi as sacred, but it was researcher Daniel Russo in the 1950s who brought it to global attention. He claimed the plateau was an ancient sculpture garden created by a lost civilization, its figures representing gods and ancestors from a forgotten age. Visitors see what they call the monument to humanity, a rock resembling a colossal human head in profile. Others discern lions, camels, or sphinx-like beings etched into the stone. The number of these shapes is astonishing. Whether they are deliberate carvings or natural erosion shaped by imagination remains a matter of debate. Geologists lean toward the latter, pointing out that volcanic and wind erosion can produce eerily lifelike forms. Yet standing amid the towering rocks, it's easy to feel the weight of mystery, to sense that, intentional or not, Marcahuasi captures something profound about the human impulse to find meaning in stone, to read messages written by time itself. The plateau of Marcahuasi is formed from volcanic rock, shaped over countless millennia by wind and water. Natural erosion can create remarkable shapes, and the phenomenon of pareidolia, the human tendency to see faces or figures in random forms, is well known. To geologists, the figures of Marcahuasi are striking but accidental, a product of time, weather, and imagination. Supporters of the sculpted theory, however, argue that certain formations are too precise to dismiss. They point to angles, proportions, and alignments that seem deliberate, suggesting that natural outcrops may have been refined by human hands. If that is true, the mystery deepens. Who carved them, when, and why? No archaeological evidence links the plateau to any known culture, though pre-Inca groups lived in nearby valleys. Without artifacts or datable remains, the theory remains speculative, yet the idea of a lost civilization continues to fascinate. Local traditions add further intrigue. Communities around the plateau regard Marcahuasi as sacred, a place of healing, visions, and spiritual encounters. Shamans have long performed ceremonies there, and visitors frequently describe strange sensations or vivid dreams after spending time among the stones. The isolation and altitude may contribute to these experiences, but the legends persist, adding an aura of mysticism. In this atmosphere of wonder, alternative theories flourish. Some claim the plateau encodes messages left by an ancient global culture. Others believe its figures align with constellations or track celestial events. A few go even further, linking the site to extraterrestrial contact. Though these ideas lie outside mainstream scholarship, they have helped keep Marcahuasi in the public imagination, a magnet for seekers and mystery enthusiasts alike. Part of the challenge in resolving the debate is that the site has never been systematically excavated. Unlike structured ruins such as Tiwanaku or Gunung Padang, Marcahuasi lacks walls, foundations, or artifacts that can confirm human activity. Its mystery rests entirely in the shapes of its rocks. Without cultural material to analyze, interpretations remain subjective. Skeptics and believers alike see what they expect to find. Standing on the plateau, the experience is powerful regardless of belief. The landscape, high and austere, offers wide horizons and sharp contrasts. The stone formations catch the shifting light, revealing faces and forms that seem to appear and vanish as the sun moves. Whether these shapes are natural or carved, the effect is the same, a feeling of being surrounded by presence. If human hands were involved, the tools and methods remain uncertain. Simple chiseling or pecking could have emphasized existing shapes, much like petroglyphs or statues in other ancient traditions. Dating such work would be nearly impossible without context. Some proponents claim immense antiquity, tens of thousands of years, while skeptics insist there is no evidence of activity beyond the last few millennia. The question of who might have made them is equally unclear. Peru has a long history of stone craftsmanship, from the Chavin culture to the Inca, but none can be definitively linked to Marcahuasi. The plateau's ambiguity is part of its allure, an open-air gallery where nature and imagination blend so seamlessly that they become indistinguishable. At over 4,000 meters above sea level, Marcahuasi remains both a sacred landscape and a geological wonder, a place where science and legend coexist. The central question endures: are these rocks remnants of ancient artistry, or merely the mirror of our own human tendency to see meaning in stone? Until evidence emerges, the answer lies suspended between earth and imagination. High on the Sunic Plateau of southern Armenia, another mystery rises from the mountains. Here hundreds of basalt monoliths stand in rows and circles across a windswept field known as Zoratskara, often called Armenia's Stonehenge. Spread over 7 hectares, the site contains more than 200 standing stones, many weighing several tons. A number of these megaliths are pierced by circular holes drilled cleanly through their centers, a detail that has fueled endless speculation about their purpose. The stones form patterns that suggest deliberate planning rather than random placement. Visitors often note alignments that appear to frame the rising and setting of the sun, hinting that Zoratskara may have served as an ancient observatory, much like Stonehenge or Nabta Playa in Egypt. Excavations have also uncovered burials within the area, suggesting it may have doubled as a necropolis. This dual function, astronomical and funerary, has become central to ongoing debate. Dating the site remains difficult. Some archaeologists believe it was constructed around 2000 BCE during the Bronze Age, while others propose dates as early as 7500 BCE. If the older estimates are accurate, Zoratskara would be among the earliest monumental sites in human history, predating Egypt's pyramids and Mesopotamia's ziggurats. The evidence, however, is complex. Burials and pottery point to Bronze Age use, but the deep weathering of the stones and the precision of the holes hint at greater antiquity. The holes are the site's most striking feature. Roughly 1/3 of the stones contain circular openings bored straight through solid basalt. Some researchers believe these were sighting devices for observing stars or marking solstices and equinoxes. When viewed through the holes, certain celestial bodies align with key points on the horizon, supporting the idea that Zoratskara was an open-air observatory used to track time and seasons, an essential skill in an agrarian society. Not everyone agrees. Others argue the holes serve practical or ritual purposes, perhaps for attaching wooden beams, ropes, or for acoustic resonance during ceremonies. Some suggest they were added later, long after the site's initial construction. These differing interpretations keep Zoratskara at the center of both scientific and speculative debate. Whoever built it, the people of the Armenian highlands were master stoneworkers. Across the region, other megalithic sites, tombs, and fortifications testify to a deep-rooted tradition of monumental architecture. If Zoratskara truly dates back thousands of years earlier than believed, it could indicate an even older, unknown culture. That possibility has inspired fringe theories, linking it to a vanished civilization with advanced astronomical knowledge. Archaeological excavations show that the site also served as a burial ground. Stone tombs and human remains, found near the monoliths, suggest a ritual landscape uniting the living, the dead, and the cosmos. Aligning tombs with celestial events may have symbolized the connection between ancestors and the stars, merging sky-watching with spiritual belief. Zoratzkara could thus have been both a cemetery and an observatory, a place where heaven and earth met in ritual harmony. Today, the site's atmosphere remains hauntingly powerful. The basalt stones stand in uneven rows under vast skies, some upright, others leaning or toppled. The pierced holes draw the eye instinctively toward the horizon, inviting visitors to peer through them as ancient astronomers once might have done. Against the backdrop of Armenia's rugged mountains, Zoratzkara feels timeless, its purpose still just beyond reach. Some researchers see the precision of the holes as evidence of advanced drilling techniques unknown to early Bronze Age societies. Others link its alignments to constellations like Orion or Sirius, echoing theories applied to megalithic monuments worldwide. While mainstream scholars caution against such speculation, the fascination remains. Armenia's position at the crossroads of ancient civilizations makes it a natural melting pot of ideas and traditions. And Zoratzkara reflects that complexity, whether built 5,000 or 7,000 years ago. It embodies humanity's enduring desire to connect earth and sky through stone. Without inscriptions or records, its builders remain nameless, their intentions uncertain. The megaliths endure, weathered but resolute, silent markers of a culture that reached for the heavens and left behind a mystery still unsolved. Far to the south, across the Horn of Africa, another megalithic landscape rises from the Ethiopian highlands. Near the town of Tia stands a field of tall, narrow stelae, slabs of stone that pierce the earth like sentinels of memory. 36 remain standing today within a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but they are part of a much wider network of similar monuments scattered across southern Ethiopia, hinting at a once flourishing tradition of stone raising whose meaning is only partly understood. The stelae of Tia vary in size, some reaching 5 meters high, others little taller than a person. They were carved from local stone, shaped into upright slabs, and set into the ground in rows and clusters. Many bear engravings, swords, geometric designs, and mysterious symbols unlike anything else in African megalithic art. The sword carvings are particularly striking, with clearly defined blades, hilts, and crossguards. Some scholars believe they commemorate warriors or leaders, while others see them as abstract emblems of power, protection, or lineage. Excavations beneath the stones have uncovered burials, confirming that Tia served as a cemetery. Human remains found beneath and around the monuments indicate that the stelae marked graves, though whether they honored individuals or entire groups remains uncertain. The diversity of carvings suggests a complex symbolic system that may have encoded stories, achievements, or spiritual beliefs now lost. Dating the site places it roughly between the 10th and 15th centuries CE, though Ethiopia's megalithic tradition stretches back much further. Earlier sites in the region have been dated to the first millennium BCE, suggesting continuity over thousands of years. Who the builders of Tia were is still debated. They may have been Cushitic-speaking peoples who dominated southern Ethiopia during the medieval period, or cultures that have since vanished entirely. The sword carvings hint at a society where warfare, authority, and spirituality intertwined. But without texts, the meaning remains elusive. Alternative theories propose even older origins, connecting Tia to pre-Aksumite or proto-historic traditions. Regardless of age, the site demonstrates remarkable craftsmanship and symbolism. Each stone carries its own expression, the carvings blending artistic precision with mystery. For modern visitors, the stelae stand like voices frozen in stone, guardians of a history that can no longer speak but still demands to be remembered. Together, places like Marcahuasi, Zoratzkara, and Tia remind us how much of human history remains unwritten. Whether carved by deliberate hands or shaped by the forces of nature and imagination, these megaliths endure as bridges between past and present, monuments to our timeless urge to inscribe meaning into the enduring face of the earth.